Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play that meets on Tuesday nights. We've been off for a little while. There's been a lot of scheduling and holidays and things, but we are back. I say it every time, but I like to say it. Let's see. Last time, the party finally got in a long rest. I was able to tell them that it is now June 22nd. So, a lot has gone on. And what we were dealing with last time was Leah had informed the party, especially Lara Mendes, about her very unusual meeting with Captain Raiken Thess, known to the army as Coffers, in the middle of the night, and was worried about whatever was happening there. So they set up Lara Mendes' historical lens, and set about waiting for Thess to appear, while the others, those being Yuki and Vendar, looks like Cyrus, Thaltharis, the Simulacra, went about training the army as they need to do. Excuse me. It was Leah, Lara Mendes, Raiken, and Jebble who came to try and interrogate the memory of Raiken Thess when he came to Tatsuya's room that night. And appear he did, and interrogate they began. However, shortly into that interrogation, appear he did again. And it took several minutes of thinking this through to realize that the person who had come in first was the real Raiken Thess, and the one to appear second was the memory. So, move on with the interrogation was their only course, to try and understand what this man was doing in Tatsuya's things while no one else was around. And he did explain to them that he believes that he has a lot to offer in the area of numbers, and hasn't been allowed to do his job, slighted, in fact, by members of the party, and so he came here to see what they were keeping from him. The party was able to determine that he was hiding something with his words and actions, and eventually determined that in being able to give him the gold bars worth exactly the amount needed, they had tipped him off that they were behind the disappearance of Tatsuya, and decided that honesty would be the best policy moving forward, so they brought Thess in on the game, admitting that Tatsuya's plan to defeat the dragons, raise Tiamat, and then defeat her was dangerous, perhaps reckless, and less likely to succeed than is really acceptable, and more likely to result in damage that could be otherwise prevented if they simply seal the dragons again, as their predecessor Shahrazir did 1,000 years before. Thess said that he believes in the cause of this army, that he believed in the cause of Tatsuya, and could understand this gamble that Tatsuya was making himself, having entered the world of bookieing from having been a gambler and working for Vendar's father, Lord Draknir, saying that that is how he wound up on the island, was he had been a squad mate to Thandros before all of this, and had sought to find his former commander here. All that said, he is willing to throw in with the party, believing that they probably do have the right of it, that there are better odds with their gamble. So, when we left off, he had been trying to understand what exactly was the knowns and unknowns, like why the party was so against Tatsuya's plans in specific, leaving off with the question, what happens when you kill Tiamat? Do you become Tiamats? Is that why we should definitely not have let Tatsuya do that? So, to set the scene, you are here in the historical lens. Now, your historical lens is petering out, as you spent the first of the 2 hours waiting for him, and then you've spent a significant portion of time talking to him and not the version of him from the spell, having sent him out of the room.
We just walked and told him to go into the hallway.
Yeah. The image in the spell able to do that, the real man unable to because the wall had been repaired.
I thought it was a clever way to...
Oh no, it was excellent. That was great. Very damn it moment. Yeah, that'll work. So, you know that the spell is going to end very shortly. Do you want anything from the memory, or are you just going to let it end?
I think that Laramentis will inform the party that the spell is going to be ending. I think that he has no particular... He doesn't feel like he needs to talk to the memory of Coffers. But everything that we need will be... We can't, interrogate the guy without being near the guy, without being extremely suspicious. So, there's no benefit in Laramentis' mind to dealing with past Coffers at this point. So,
and you will have the God Bond, so you can discuss that.
Yeah. Laramentis says the amount of time that's left on the spell.
It's minutes.
Okay. So if there's anything that anyone needed from the past captain, now would be the time. I don't think there's any... I can't think of any benefit to speaking with him over current captain, but...
Yeah, that makes sense.
No questions I can think of. Admittedly, I'm somewhat distracted with the training over here.
Pew, pew. That was the sound of arrows.
That was the sound of a guy shooting arrows said pew while shooting.
Look,
Because he thought it made the arrow
Raiken
more
told him to
effective.
do it. He said it would
helps
make
him
the arrow more
focus.
accurate.
Yeah, it's a magic spell. Come on.
Say pew, it helps.
You just shout magic missile as you shoot an arrow, and then everyone's like, wait, but what? And then they get shot because they're distracted.
I'll have purple components.
Paint arrows purple. Or I think a magic missile is supposed to be silver.
Yeah. They're silvery, they're black, they sparkle. There's a lot of different ways to imagine them, but they usually, shimmer or sparkle.
Mm-hmm.
I cast non-magic missile and shoot you with an arrow.
I cast magic missile in the darkness.
You
There
destroy.
are probably some scenarios in which that would work.
You destroy the darkness. Everything is too bright now.
There is no dark ever again. The world is forever changed, you monster.
So, the spell will end. You will see the room seeming not really to change at first, but then you'll start to see a halo of light toward the ceiling, and the place where the open wall is leading out to the imaginary Relanthes begins to rebuild itself from the top down as the dome of the spell fragments and seems to particle itself away into nothingness. The sunlight returns. Sunrise.
I think this is the first time the party's been within the spell when it ended. I think most of the time, Laramentis has just dispelled it.
Yeah. And as, everything seems to particle away, you're going to notice the Realantas out in the hallway look around and go, ooh, I should definitely make sure to warn my past self. And then he starts to particle away and goes, shit. Your spell ends. Daylight returns. It is now, I think it was around noon, because you were doing it after breakfast.
Yeah, there was breakfast. There was the fabricate.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours worth of spell.
Yeah, so we're going to say that it's, noon, slightly post-noonish. With the spell gone, the magic no longer kind of creating this environment for you. You notice that it recreates, light and sound from the time. So that means it also dampens outside light and sound. You become aware that the tavern is lively, that there are a larger number of people using the inn than there were when you began.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, assuming people are reappearing in the program, you are in this room with Thess, who seems to look around at the as the spell ends, and sort of looks across your faces with expectation in his eye. You can kind of read the question in his posture, in his eyes, and his expression is, so what now?
If there is more that we should discuss, then I think it prudent to do so within the private sanctum that has been cast on our room.
Still there? Suppose it is.
I recast it today because I can cast it as
okay.
a spell and not as a wish.
Look, that wasn't time.
That's fair.
Is there more
But
to
yeah, it was one
discuss,
of
Lieutenants General?
I think Laramentis saying that was he was saying that directly to Rialan, as a question, if there's more that he wants to hear specifically, was what Laramentis was getting at with it. Not so much to the party, although everyone's perfectly good to chime in for things.
I think I have a better understanding of what you and your fellow Lieutenants General, perhaps even the General, wish to accomplish. I do hope that you will make use of my abilities moving forward.
I think it would be imprudent of us not to.
Very good. Then I will ask you, are there documents that you believe you would benefit from my looking through, organizing, recording, doing math upon?
I think Laramentis will say over the bond, I think that we should have him go over the documents that we had pulled from the wardrobe, given the time for things. I can certainly spend some time working with him to get a sense for them at the beginning, but I think my time is likely better spent doing magic with our recruits.
I trust your judgment, Laramentis. If you feel that would be the best course of action, well, why don't we do it?
Hearing no dissent, Laramentis will say, I can go and find the documents that the general had removed from here, and we can sit down and start going over them briefly, but I will probably be leaving you to your own devices to go and assist my simulacra in training.
Excellent. You will not be disappointed, Lieutenant General Aramandus.
If there's... Laramentus begins to go to move, to leave the room, go towards our room to grab the documents, unless anyone... Actually, I'm going to teleport myself, because I don't want to end up on the roof.
This building doesn't have a roof.
So yeah, I head out of the room unless anyone moves to stop me.
I don't.
What's your passive perception there, Jebble?
My passive is... Passive perception is 21.
Okay. As as Laramundus agrees to this and moves out of the room, you're going to notice just this very faint, very fast little quirk of the side of his mouth, like a little smile, a little smirk, when he masters his features again. So, you go and retrieve documents from, I believe, the mansion?
I don't know where Yukikaze put them, but Laramentus asks Yukikaze where they are and finds them, unless they're somehow somewhere that he can't get to, but...
Something as privy as that might be in my bag of holding that's on me. I would say would be a fair...
Or in his underpants.
So what about the rest of you three in this room who are simply waiting here, listening to the bond, while Laramundus supposedly goes down the hall to get papers for this guy who is really interested in doing incredibly boring work?
Raiken is probably going to, look to everyone and be like, well, I think I should probably go help train the troops. And he will head out to go and train the troops, meet up with the other people.
Troop training. Leah?
What time is it?
Noonish. You can,
Okay,
like I said...
Don't know what time it is in Ebengard?
In Ebengard. Well, given that Ebengard pretty much spans the continent, it very much depends on what part of Ebengard you are referring to.
Where I think Barinor would be at this point.
Boy, that is a really tough one, because he travels all over Ebengard for trade.
Yeah, but he has been tasked to, spread the words about the dragons and manage, try to manage,
Yeah.
defensive force. Yeah.
So here's the upshot. You're, right in the middle of the continent right now, being on Stormy File.
Okay.
So, at worst, it's 3, 4 in the morning, and at, or 8 or 9 at night.
Okay.
Wherever he is. So, like as not, it's somewhere where it's fine for him to receive calls, but if you're hoping to hit him with Dream, unless it is, in fact, 3, 4 in the morning where he is, he's probably not asleep.
Okay. Yeah, then, then I don't know what Leah would do at this point. Check up on the people she trained earlier, I guess.
Alright, so head back to your Black Rose.
Yeah.
Alright, you head to the Black Rose. Which just leaves Jebble. You and Coffers in this room. The others say they're better. Time is better spent elsewhere. How about you?
How much time do we have?
Until what?
until I'd be expected to do anything else.
I mean, you're a lieutenant general, so you're expected to be doing administrative shit for the army. So if you're not in view of the army, it is assumed that you are doing important administrative shit. So technically, you never have to be anywhere.
Haha.
The question is, do you want to hang in this room with Coffers while he waits for Laramendus to return with the papers? Or do you have something other that you wish for Jebble to do?
I was thinking maybe try to make some potions.
Okay. So yeah, you can head to... By now, you've heard either directly from Ruby or through Vendar that she's not particularly happy about that stuff happening in her inn, but you know that the mansion is safe.
Okay, yeah, if that's still up, that's where I'll head.
Sounds good. Coffers goes to sit on the bed, simply, gives you a pert smile and bobs a nod at you as you depart. You hear the creak of the springs in the mattress as he sits down on Tatsuya's bed.
Yeah, I nod in response before leaving.
Very good. Then, you all head to the various locations to help with training. There, it seems like you're going to have to get yourself out to the training ground to retrieve these documents directly from the Dragonborn.
Yep.
With that information, I suppose Laramendus would go back to the room to talk to Rialan, and just one, to let him know, and two, to see if he has the documents are on the general's person, so I'm going to go and retrieve them. Is there a place that we should go to do work that's more comfortable for such a thing than this room in the inn?
Well, there are plenty of tables down below, although it will be rowdy this time of day as soldiers are taking shifts on lunch. If you know anywhere where there are tables to work at, where perhaps we can open books and spread documents.
I don't think I can grant someone permission to enter the mansion after the fact, right?
You are a powerful wizard, and you're all 20th level. If you want to grant somebody permission after the fact, I don't care.
Okay.
That is not an important enough mechanic to slow down roleplay.
Okay, cool. I think that the most comfortable place will be in the mansion in our room. So let's go acquire those.
The what and the
documents.
where?
It's a wonderful little spell. It creates an extra-dimensional mansion.
Oh.
Full of servants and food, drink, plenty of space.
Well, that does sound wonderful. Lead the way, Lieutenant General.
Remember to tell him not to look up.
I think that is something that Laramendus never thinks about
It's a hazing.
until after the fact.
Laramendus just hazes
Like, I don't think
everyone.
it enters his mind at all when he walks in. But Laramendus would go and get the documents first, but then...
So
Blair
you-
very much strikes me as the person who would say, "Oh yeah, you probably shouldn't do that" after they look up.
they're looking up. He's like, "Oh, you never mind."
Alright, so do you shove him in the mansion, go get the documents, or do you make him walk with you to go get the documents, or do you make him wait in the inn in general while you go get the documents and then go in the mansion? 3 options.
I think Laramendus would ask if he wants to come with him to get the documents, but would not be moving to let him be in the mansion without Laramentis around at first. So,
Okay.
does he want to come with Laramentis to get the documents, or...
I suppose I haven't gotten my steps in today, Lieutenant General.
I have found over the past couple months that it is helpful to do as much walking as one can.
Very good. Then I shall follow you to the training field. For the rest of you, you are performing days of training. Combat, magic, stealth, survival, strength, endurance, all of these. So I would like rolls from the people training to reflect how today's training shall go. And if you want, you can also describe to me the stuff that you're working on, or you don't have to. It's up to you. But let's say, Yukikaze, why don't you give me, strength and, constitution checks. One each for now. Raiken, how about strength and dexterity? Because I know you're so good at dexterity.
How dare you?
Yeah. Leah, why don't you give me charisma and stealth? Vendar, obviously, stealth and sleight of hand. Cyrus, we'll just play to your strengths and say constitution and charisma.
Skills or saving throws?
Skills. All of these are skills.
Just want to make sure.
Yep. Everyone's doing amazing except Raiken.
I'm trying to reset my password to get back in. Hold on.
Boy. So, Laramentis, you and Coffers reach the training ground, and, you're immediately buffeted by high and blistering winds full of shards of ice. Because there is a gold dragon just blasting air down the mountain you created, and you can see groups of soldiers attempting to scale it, hands and feet, hammers and pitons, ropes, all manner of thing, and you see people tumbling down. You know that there will probably be some bruises and breaks to fix tonight. But on your way, you do pass several of your compatriots training their individualized and specialized groups of people, and things seem to be going exceedingly well. Like, you don't even notice Vendar and his group, any of them. You're like, you're sure he came out here to do this?
It's like, that fucker's slacking off. He's not anywhere.
He never goes to class! You see Leah training these people in how to work their way through conversation to get information. And you see Raiken being very Raiken, but it's the group that he's with seems like they're not taking to it as well as usual. Like, they're following, they're excited, they're a little confused.
Typical of people around Raiken.
Excited but a little confused.
Yep.
You can see Bruinor has a group of officers that he's issuing commands to and delegating out to different smaller groups of soldiers. And he seems to be keeping this checklist as you head out there. Yuki, they do eventually approach you and your group of soldiers as you're working on survival techniques.
Give me 1 second to roll.
Making shelter and the like. Explaining how to forage and gather supplies, wood, kindling, how to dry it so that it can be used for fires.
Okay. I roll a 3, then a 19.
Okay.
So that's 14 and 27.
Sounds like
Strength.
the 3 was the right one.
Strength was the first one, con was the second.
Okay. They seem to be doing pretty well.
Those, not saving throws for strength. It was a skill check.
Oh, skill check. No, there's no
Sorry.
plus. What goes just by modifiers? Or?
Yeah, just your base modifier.
So that would be 21. So it would be 8 and 21.
Okay. So the survival training is going well. There's a group of people who are doing like strength training exercises that really seem to be struggling in the snow. When Laramentis and Coffers approach you.
Alright.
General. I was hoping for those documents, not to take up too much of your time.
Alright, just give me a hot second here. These guys are getting buried over here. So I'll help get them situated.
You are well aware that there are no hot seconds in this area. It's very cold.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's somebody who's like, oh, what I would do for a hot second.
There's some dragon's breath that goes over the area.
Too hot. Very much too hot.
What I would do for a cult.
Alright, so then after I get them situated, I'll head over to those two and fish out the documents that I had put in my bag of holding.
Alright. He hands over a bundle of papers. It's a hefty number. And you're able to extricate yourself from the area, though that is slippery and slow going.
I was wondering if like Laramentis wanted to like talk a little bit, but it's too cold. Laramentis just wants to leave.
Immediately, like, we'll talk about it later. Alright, so you head back and you head into the magnificent mansion, inviting your new friend in with you.
Yes.
He is able to enter the magnificent mansion. So, you take Coffers through the mansion.
Oh.
So, as you, he's looking around marveling, wide-eyed kid in a candy store kind of thing. You could design one of these places to house many of the soldiers, couldn't you?
I'm sure that Laramentis can do the math on what, like, a barracks made by Magnificent Mansion would be able to house, and he says that number.
So it would take a few to supply the entire army, but it would certainly be better accommodations than the tents. As you head...
It would also be a much safer means of people sleeping. The only way in here is through a door that is controlled by... that access is controlled by the mage who casts the spell, and when the door is closed, it's invisible. And it's also a 7th level spell, so dispelling it, even if you know it's there, is not a trivial manner.
If only more people in the world commanded magic such as you do. It is, as I'm certain you're aware, quite the unusual gift.
It is. There are a few promising recruits, although it would take many years of study before they could get to anything like a 7th level spell.
Yes.
But
I am very grateful that all of the people that did tore themselves away from the university to join the cause. I only wish they had had more time to study there, but A war waits for no one.
I look forward to the many years that they will have to study after this, and hope that it is many years of peace.
Indeed. As you pass out of the living space building into the courtyard to head over to the library, you are hit with an aroma that is, you know, if anything out of the ordinary, you immediately go, oh, no, what's Vendar cooking now? But it is not Vendar, and it is not nearly so foul as you're accustomed at this point. You see that Jebble has set himself up an area out here in the garden and is mixing potions.
Thank you for doing this outside.
Without looking up. Thumbs up.
Say a thumbs up or give a thumbs up?
I
I thought it would work.
says thumbs up. And, you know, you enter the library, which, of course, if anything else made him, you know, eyes go wide like a child. In here, you can see the tendons in his jaw snapping. All of this. Magic.
Most of the information here comes from my studies from my time at the university.
You were quite the wealthy student to have so many books.
Worth explaining.
I was lucky to have a magical book that had as many pages as I needed, and so I could fill them with my notes without needing to buy more.
He kind of gives you a look like he doesn't fully comprehend what you're saying as he reaches out, kind of without looking, just grasps blindly at the nearest spine, pulls it down, and flips it open to a middle-ish page, then returns his eyes to it. And, you know, you see him, like, skim over it quickly and you kind of, like, do a double take and then begin doing a more deep reading of it. I'm not familiar with this volume, he says as he closes it and tries to read the cover.
What does the cover say? I mean, I assume I recognize what it's referring to.
Believe it was, your spellcaster and you, how I learned to love my tank and focus fire.
Ah, yes, that one I have found to be unfortunately underappreciated set of lectures.
They should be teaching this out there, I think.
It wouldn't be a
I
bad
believe we
idea.
are.
He, like, replaces the tome and pulls down another one. Seems to be on combat magic. This one specifically on fire spells.
Mm-hmm.
Breathing exercises. And posture, pose, intent. This is what you had to learn to cast spells.
Yes.
And anyone can do that. I mean, I kind of assume anyone can do that. were I to master these postures and poses, intent, I could cast a spell.
With enough practice, yes.
Huh. I went and studied other things, you'll see, Lieutenant General. I figured, he slowly puts the book back on the shelf, that magic was for the people who had an affinity for it, and they knew who they were. I did not feel that was me, so I did not learn it.
Is unfortunately a fairly common misunderstanding, I feel, when it comes to the magical arts. And there's also the fact that the time and potentially resources to properly study it do put it outside the means of many potential students.
Well, perhaps once we've got a more unified world, when the dragons are out of the picture again, we'll find a way to make that more accessible to people. Maybe convince those stuck-uppers on their island that maybe bringing the university closer to the rest of Amaranta would be beneficial.
I think that would be a worthy discussion to have.
Well, anyway, this isn't why we are here. He's going to gesture to the table and move to the opposite side of it. Let's have a look.
Lerman just places the documents on the table, and I assume both of them just like start grabbing from the top of it and like trying to get a sense for what the fuck this is, because also if they were in an order before, they're not in that order anymore.
And you can see that he grabs a portion of the stack to spread just in front of him, and you're watching him scan down over the pages very quickly. You're not exactly sure what he's seeing, if he's looking for certain things, but he seems to be getting himself a gist of what's in front of him, and then he begins moving papers around, grabbing one and swapping its place with another, putting them in some sort of order. And you two carry on like this for quite some time.
Yeah, I think so. Like Laramendus is like skimming everything, but like he's not like trying, like he's not doing like reading bits and pieces and pattern. He's like, I'm like reading through them fairly thoroughly, but quickly because of his memory.
Yeah.
But like going methodically and like trying to his approach is get a full picture of it and put it together. Whereas it seems like Coffers is more able to put the puzzle together as it is built. Laramendus isn't thinking about them that way.
Yeah, he definitely, that is a good explanation for it.
And Laramendus, as they're working, offers Coffers whatever he would like to eat or drink. And I think one of the servants brings Laramendus some coffee.
Gotta get that go juice! Get those neurons firing faster. So, Jebble, what kind of potions would you like to be making?
Do we... are there potions? There should be potions for... what's the word for opposite of poisonous?
Like, antidotes for fixing things, or do you mean, like, things that buff you?
Antidote was the word I was looking for, yeah.
Okay.
Because I know stuff for, like, green dragons. So if I get potions that help in case...
yeah, something
like
to...
Poison resistance, kind of.
Poison resistance, yes.
Poison resistance and curing the poison status kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of soldiers, so how many are you hoping to produce? You can plan ahead for being able to do it over multiple hours, days.
Yeah. Okay, I need a supply of vials. And then I'll just make as many as I can.
Well, barring the use of magic to create them, you know that this place has been... This place was a city before the dragon attacked, and you know that it's been supporting an army of like 3,000 or 4,000 people for a month and a half or something like that. So they might have, if not the exact item you're looking for, probably plenty of glass to make the item you're looking for from. Unless you have a magical way of obtaining it. You know, up to and including teleporting elsewhere and buying them from somebody.
No. Teleporting. Oh, that's new.
Look, there are trees in here.
Would it work from just in here?
I
Would
don't
you
know.
need to go
I
outside?
don't. He'd have to look at Transivia plants and tell me if the two trees need to be on the same plane.
Let me see. What is that? Is it a level spell? Nope. Magical link between larger. On the same plane of existence.
Okay, but you know you can just go outside and use a tree out there if you want to teleport somewhere.
Oh, let's go outside.
I mean, or you can just prepare this whole thing in a big old fucking vat, cauldron, tub, whatever, and then dole it out after the fact. It'll keep long enough, like, it's not going to expire within hours.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that.
Okay. This place will provide you, you know, a temporary giant tub. You just can't take it out of here, but it'll remain in here, so you can use that to make an exorbitant amount of this stuff. It even has like a bung on it, a spigot, so you can distribute it from the tub after it's cooked. I don't know what you call them where you're from.
Tap?
Yeah, a tap.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'll do that. And, if anyone's in or around, and I know that they're leaving, I'll ask them about picking up a couple of vials.
Alright, well, you saw those two enter. You waved at them, a little, you know, a while after you began, of course. So, you know, eventually they'll probably leave. But not as yet, they're not. So this will take a while. I imagine you're going to try and make a lot, and I'll tell you that something that simply cures the poisoned condition is going to be very easy to produce very inexpensively, and you're going to be able to create a lot of it without too much worry about fucking it up, because that's a nice, easy little thing. You know, make a tub of that. It'll take a while, so you'll be tending the thing as it cooks, effectively. But it won't be hard. You probably have most of the ingredients. You just need more. If you're going to make, you know, 4,000 uses.
I don't know if it was going to go quite that far. Like, mass produce quite a few, and then hand them off to, like, medics and all that, so that they can apply as needed.
Yeah. Sounds good. So, plan for what? Making 100 by tonight.
Whatever a reasonable amount is.
Considering that a vial is a rather small thing and a tub is a rather large thing, I think that if you fill that tub with fluid, you'll probably get 100 vials out of it. And I think that it'll take you, the rest of the day to make that. You're cooking dinner for 100 people.
Okay. That's what I'm doing, so.
I don't want Vendar to get worried that I'm making things too easy for you. What you're making, just the curing poison condition, not nearly so complex and impressive as his modified purple worm poison or pseudo-dragon venom.
Yeah, I get it. It's a simple thing for him. Mine's a very specialized.
He has chosen to make a very simple thing, which
Oh.
means, mix this with that and some water and you're off to the races. He's making a ton of it. Okay. Why don't you give me some rolls, and if you need more ingredients, they might be naturally found here. But if they're not, are you just gonna port somewhere with transit via plants and grab them? I mean, they're like natural ingredients, so you wouldn't have to even buy them if you wanted to spend an hour or two walking through the woods picking them.
Oh, yeah, if I need to get it, I can just go get it. That's not a problem.
Okay. Good. So you're doing the very druid thing right now, which I enjoy that.
So, what am I rolling now?
The check that you usually roll for your potions, which was that a medicine check, I believe, or is it a wisdom check? Do we never?
I'd be adding proficiency to it anyway, wouldn't I?
Yeah, you get proficiency.
It's the same thing then.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's 15.
Okay. 15 is fine. It's not the most interesting thing you've ever done, but you carefully tend what you're cooking. You use up your ingredients. You do end up having to head out of the mansion, find yourself a tree outside, and poof yourself into a wood you're familiar with, probably near Crystal Rock again, though you don't want to be distracted by talking to people, so you probably pick a tree a little further from the settlement and find yourself the ingredients you know are native to that area.
I'd say before I actually leave the camp, I'd probably talk to someone in a quartermastery type of position about acquiring vials for potions.
The quartermaster. I gave a name.
Just have them delivered to me in the inn.
There is a quartermaster who is a half-elf named Fern. Files. She says she'll rustle up what she can. You tell her what you're putting in it, that it's for the benefit of the army, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she does not look at you skeptically like you're stealing resources from the army. She tells you, yeah, I'll look into getting you what I can. I remind you that your power as a druid developed to the point that you can call animals when you're in natural areas to you. You've used it before. The rats in the city helped you find the drugs that you needed when Vendar was trying to make something. You know that you can even more easily reach out to like the squirrels and chipmunks and mice and rabbits in the forest near Crystal Rock and have them also be gathering the things you need to get them 100 times as quickly.
Yep.
All
I'll
right.
spend a bit of time just foraging.
Okay. You forage, you get your stuff, you go cook. Everybody else is training. Things seem to be going well. Training people. Give me another couple of rolls. Keep it simple, we'll go with the same ones. One each of the two I told you earlier. I'm keeping it simple. Like, I'm sitting here going, I mean, I could switch it up because you're exercising different things throughout the day. It's like, that's going to take too much time for me to think about and then have you roll anyway. Like, let's just stick with this. Dexterity got Raiken.
You gave him a thing he doesn't do.
And then the die
Give me
decided to
one,
also
but I have
screw
massive
you.
bonuses then.
Alright. You're like struggling to like teach them how to like move nimbly, foot to foot, hopping back and forth, that kind of thing. You just keep slipping under your own weight.
Which makes sense. Raiken doesn't move nimbly.
No.
He's the worst person to teach nimbleness from.
He's like, this will be important. You should learn to do this, and just not the way I'm doing it.
Just push
Don't
through
give
it.
me example
He's
Do what
not
stronger.
to.
Do what I'm doing, but
Do
better.
what I say, not what I do.
Yeah.
No, that's easy. Just do everything Raiken's done.
A demonstration of what not to do.
Alright, so, gosh, for most of you, today is going pretty amazingly. The second bout of stealth for Leah is a little tougher. I think people are getting tired as the day wears on. But overall, even considering the middling and lowish rolls for stealth, things are going fairly well for everybody. I would say that it's a decent day. You know, you've had really gangbuster days leading up to here. This isn't a gangbuster day, but it's a decent day. And the sun begins to set, and the soldiers are told by their commanding officers, led by Bruenor, it's time to pull it in, and you can head in for evening meal.
I think Vendar will, he'll say goodnight to the soldiers he was training, and then he'll go back to the mansion.
Sounds good.
I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to looking
Leah'll
at
do
that,
the same.
looking at the stuff that the demon gave them all day.
Idle hands are this devil's playground.
Well, Raiken's probably gonna go back and eat with the troops. Well, also eat dinner time, where the officers would be. Whatnot.
Be also there.
Yeah, I imagine that, you guys have been active all day. You want to eat and rest. Right. So you head in. A bunch of other soldiers and officers are heading in for meals as well. Obviously the lion's share of the soldiers head to the bivouac and begin cooking their meals around fires. But the officers' corps comes here and eats and chats about the daily trials and tribulations. There we go. Okay, so Vendar, you are bypassing the food to head up to the mansion.
I think I'll just have the servants of the mansion take me some stuff to eat while I'm doing this.
Fair enough. you head up to the mansion. Raiken and Yukikaze, you are eating with the soldiers, the officers.
Yeah.
Alrighty. That's not what I want. There we go. Stick you two at that table. Sitting here going, man, I really wish I knew where Seltharis disappeared to, but I could probably just pull a new one. You know, unless I didn't make her unique.
Dun dun dun.
Which, I guess I didn't. I don't know where she went. Oh well. So, not Vendar. Leah, are you eating with the others?
Yes.
Okay. Cyrus, are you eating with the others?
Yep.
Okay. Jebble.
Doing well.
You don't need to leave the mansion, even if you start to feel hungry, because you know a servant will bring you food, but do you want to leave the mansion for not mansion food? Or do you want to keep tending your, potion?
Yeah, I want to keep at this. I think this is important.
Okay. Vendar will, appear in the mansion. He's cooking out in the garden. You know that your setup is still in the, has been recreated in the library, Vendar. So
Awesome. I'll go in there.
Right. So, we'll just pop to this table. We'll say that, you're sharing the library right now with, Laramendus and Coffers as they're going over these notes and discussing, in, like, excited whispers as they, point out different, things on each of the pages that they're going through. They largely, they don't bother you. So, food people. You guys are pretty tired after the long day of training. And, Leah and Raiken were the only two there for the discussion this morning, since the others have been training at that time. So, did you want to bring each other up to speed on that, since there's only so much you really get to understand through the bond?
Yeah, sure.
Please feel free to discuss, since Leah was concerned about Coffers this morning. I'm curious as to how she's feeling now.
Like, so who's here with us? It's Cyrus and Yukikaze.
Yes.
Well, do either of you have any questions of what went down with Coffers?
I'd like to know what all happened in detail. So I think I have the gist of it from from what was said, but if anything got left out, please inform me.
Well, the gist, just going over it again, is that we told him Tatsuya's plan for the dragons, and we told him ours. And he, although he wasn't against Tatsuya's plans, he was willing to help us with ours. But now him and Laramendus are going over papers that Tatsuya left.
Sounds good.
Leah, how are you doing?
I still don't know if you can fully trust him, but being honest at least will help the cause.
Yes. Probably to help build trust and build trust with him, we have to give an olive branch and be a little more forthcoming with him than what we have been. At least. Still unsure about any other possible officers under Tatsuya's army that we are unaware of.
Yuki, how do you feel about sharing all these plans with him?
I have no major. He hasn't given me anything to distrust him, other than it was kind of odd, him going out of his way to look into stuff. I can also look at that as him just being proactive, and I do understand how why he felt the way he did. But other than that, other than a bit of uncertainty, nothing negative.
Alright. Lair, are you back?
Yes, I am back.
Welcome back. So, dinner time rolls around. Your stomach tells you. Are you going to finish up what you're doing with these papers, pick it up again some other time, or are you just going to keep working through and have the servants in the mansion bring you food?
I think if Coffers shows no sign of wanting to stop what he's doing, Laramendus will do the same and eat here while they're working together.
You are aware that you've been joined by Vendar in the meantime. Around the time that you started to notice you were hungry, he went back to that spot that he had set up the previous time the mansion was here, and begins setting up chemical experiments with some nasty looking sack of black rocks that just looks like coal.
I think when that happens, Laramendus will say to Coffers, I think that it might be prudent for us to take this into the dining room. And he's saying while staring at the equipment, not at Vendar, at the equipment.
Acids, fire.
I will be unsurprised if there is an aroma to the chemicals and the like that he is going to be working with. If previous experience holds, we can have the servants take everything in exactly the same arrangement of the papers and move it into the other room where we might be a bit safer.
He's kind of going to agree to this at first and then say, "Oh, my, we really spent quite a lot of time here, haven't we?
We have.
I should.
And Laramendus seems excited about, I think Laramendus has enjoyed this work, because Laramendus also enjoys boring work.
I should probably make sure to check in with the officers if they're finishing their training, he says, gesturing at Vendar, so that I can keep my records for the army up to date.
That is reasonable.
We should continue this later, tomorrow, if it's that late.
Laramendus says the time, because he knows what time it is.
I mean, you and I can always just get in a quick trance and start very early.
Do I have a sense, voice in the sky, of what type of information we've been So basically, do I think that? So I guess one of the reasons Lara Mendes has been doing this with Rialan is to essentially keep an eye on him after that conversation, and to make sure that the information that we're going over here is, like entirely like relatively neutral. He expects it is because of the trap that was on the place that had it. But I also want to get a sense of, I guess, tomorrow, for Lara Mendes, do I think that I can provide enough additional input help to Coffers that it's worth me joining him for an extended amount of time tomorrow? Or do I think it's probably better start early with him, work for a bit until other people are up, and then me go and do something else?
He does seem to be going over the papers. You are going over some together, but for a lot of it, you've got your own piles, and it was just sort of a random split. You can see how he's arranged his. You can catch glimpses of top sheets and see that he's got a lot of similar. These seem to be more sheets of communication, invoices, tracking logs, like these were services that they're records of service that Tatsuya had kept about, weapons and supplies and these other things that he was having made and shipped here. From different countries, all over the place. A lot of it is coming from Bromdor, but he's got, Aspara, Empire of the Four Queens. There are some coastal areas of Sudaran that he went to. Sylvanas, he's basically gone and visited everywhere as this avatar of Bahamut, and begged for aid, and worked out deals and all these kinds of things, and that's what this is kind of a record of. You're kind of spending time putting it in chronological order and figuring out where he went and when and how and who he spoke to and what he paid and what they promised, and you're kind of getting this you're building this history of his journey from the time that he learned about the dragons and their relationship to Tiamat, magically. The only thing that really isn't here, this isn't so much a journal, so you're not getting his personal thoughts about things for the most part. So you don't know how he feels about what he's doing, other than that what you do see is a dedication to what he's doing. That is the only thing that is perfectly evident here. What else can I tell you about this? Underhanded maneuvers and betrayals are only what you can interpret. Getting such and such thing from that country, getting such and such other thing from that country, and these would be resources that, these two countries that are or aren't friendly would have used for or against each other, so it prevents that sort of thing. Little things here and there, but nothing that you could really say this is, proof that he's preventing them from fighting each other or making it harder for them to help each other or anything like that. Just like, well, that could be a result of what he's done here, but you don't know if there's intent behind it.
Yeah.
But it also seems like that's the type of thing that Rialan is really trying to figure out. The notes that he's taking down are very much like a step-by-step this here, and he's drawing connections and seeing, okay, what are the effects of this and that. So he'll spend a lot of time looking at the pages and then a lot of time poring over his own notes and kind of ideating. He's very much he's very happy to discuss the things that he's finding, and anytime something really interesting comes up, he holds it up to you and says, did you see this? And here's what I think this means. Seems to be very forthcoming about that. But he spends a lot of time in his own world.
Yeah.
Are you helping? Yes. Are you necessary? No.
Okay.
But the same can be said of
So,
him. Like, you could also be doing what he's doing. He's just clearly got a gambler's mind about this and is seeing connections based on, what he would be trying to get out of a situation. Like, he's looking at it as, how can I gamble these things?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times that he shows you something, it is very oblique, very opaque, what is interesting about it. He says, but don't you see, like, this could mean, and with this, you could do that. This, that, the other thing, all these kind of big ideas. He's really coming at it from an angle.
Okay. I do think that this is interesting enough to Laramindis, honestly, that he would probably want to keep doing this tomorrow, as opposed to just passing it fully off until somebody tells him that he needs to do actual work.
Mm-hmm. Shall I come back here after trancing after dinner and get an early start with you?
I think that sounds lovely. And Lermindis does legitimately seem interested in this.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that we're finally getting to dig into this, because I felt like there was so much that we would be able to understand. And thank you, Lieutenant General Laramindis, for trusting me to help you with this in a way that the others did not.
Thank you for all the assistance you're able to provide.
A person has expertise from life experiences. They should use them.
How old of an elf does Laramindis get the feeling? How old is Coffers?
He seems significantly younger than Laramindis, but he is much older than any human that you would have dealt with. It's hard to pin it down just because elves don't change very much, but the way that he talks, the way that he thinks, the examples that he uses makes you think that he's maybe 200 years old, maybe a little younger. Like 150 at the youngest.
Yeah.
And then he'd be pretty, advanced for his age.
Yeah.
In the way that he's digging into this thing. So, that's the sense you get.
Laramindis will say, yeah, you're welcome to dine here. If there's anything that you could ask for, and he gestures at one of the servants. But you are also welcome to go and find other options.
Well, please do not take my departure as a slight. I really must check in with the other officers, take my notes, and it usually helps to make an appearance at meals.
Laramindis will nod.
I'm certain the food here is excellent, but you might consider keeping your presence known to the army, lest they think they don't need you. And with that, I will see you when next I see you, Lieutenant General. Be it downstairs
I look forward to it.
Shortly, or right back here in a few hours. And he's going to trot off out, back, presumably, to the last world over end. So what will you do? Will you heed
I think Laramindis will have all of... I assume the papers were left here.
Unless you had reason to unless you had reason to have him take any with him, he left them on the table.
Yeah. So I think Laramindis will have the servants move them in the exact same arrangement into the dining room for the inevitable.
It's going to become quite uninhabitable in here.
It's gonna suck.
Already, as he leaves, and you're asking them to move, the room begins to, like, kind of haze up. And you kind of find yourself choking on this smoke. It isn't necessarily acrid, but it's not great.
Yeah.
You can barely see Vendar behind this wall of black vapor.
Any windows in here?
That's a good question. I think
Only into the courtyard, like only into the garden,
right.
because otherwise the window would be immediately into the void, and that is unsettling to most people. So.
Yeah, there are a couple. There are a couple.
For the servants to open all the windows.
There are some on the second floor, so, the smoke has places to escape, but, it's a big space, and it begins to fill it. You're immediately reminded of the Cloak of Smoke.
I am. Maybe I should do this in the courtyard.
I do think that Laramentis is going to take Coffers' advice and have dinner downstairs.
Alright.
There's at least a few windows on the top floor. Maybe some smoke will go out of those.
It's filling up real fast, though.
I think before, Laramentis gets to the door, and he says, "Tomorrow, would you like a workspace like Visandrius's?"
Can you give me that?
I assume that there was, extreme ventilation in that thing.
Sure.
Why would he need it? That would ruin the scent. You just smell it, breathe it in, exist in it.
Just because, Visandrius, just because that's the only similar level of horrifying lab setup that Laramentis has encountered, I think. But
Ew.
when he casts the spell again, he can just make you that space as part of the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do that. I think for now I'll do this in the courtyard because this is doing well in here.
Alright. Servants bring you
I'll go
food.
disturb Jebble instead.
Yeah, you get a bunch of unseen servants to help you carry your setup carefully out to the courtyard, and you see Jebble working away at his broth that he's working on. Jebble, you see the unseen servants carrying all these different things. Some are carrying helping each other to carry a thing between them, and they're all billowing this greasy black smoke.
I know what that is.
Was that a question, or was that you stating that?
That's just Jebble kind of going Vendar.
Ah, yes. I just imagine Vendar looking over and waving at you as he sets up.
Hey, buddy.
Probably a little it's a big courtyard, and he's he gave you some distance, but he could always have been farther away.
Alright, Vendar waves at Jebble. Jebble will wave back.
And so you are cooking together once again. Laramentis, you head out of the magnificent mansion down the stairs, and as you descend the stairs to the tavern area of the World Over Inn, you see Rialan Thess speaking to a dragonborn officer at a table near the stairs, and he makes eye contact with you and nods, smiling pleasantly as you come down.
Laramentis smiles and nods as well.
And
he doesn't go to approach or anything.
No. You spot your friends. You head to the table they're at. You can see that Raiken finishes the discussion he's having with that dragonborn, and he moves on to another table out of sight. You come to the table containing 4 of your friends.
Excellent.
They seem to be not very chatty.
I trust everyone's experiences today were fruitful.
For the most part. You? How did it go with him?
I think we're learning a lot, which shall prove valuable.
Well, the morale of the troops never seemed higher. At least I'm assuming that's part of what the charisma check went towards.
The army does seem to be in good spirits. They seem to be very ready for tomorrow's departure.
Yeah, we haven't figured out anything about when the Empire of the Four Queens army was going to arrive. Wasn't what's her name? The Lycocelthus lady?
Seltharis?
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Wasn't she looking? It was because they were going through her land. Wasn't she like gonna talk to them?
I believe that she would have information that we do not. I became distracted in the research that we were doing, and I neglected to send to her.
Probably do that. That's kind of important.
What time is it there?
You know that she was. I think it was. I was gonna set up myself a little map with time zones on it so that I could always be very repeatable about it, but I think it was about 6 hours difference. Or
Like middle of the night, 6 hours difference for her?
well, so if it's like 8 p.m., say it's somewhere between 4 and 6 hours ahead, she's going to be somewhere between midnight and 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm. It is going to be late enough in Lycocelthus that sending would not be wise.
You also know that she's an elf in trances for just as long a time as you do.
Right, but like an interruption in the middle of the night. Is that like is one of those like somebody better be dying kind of things? Because also if like she needed to talk to somebody about my question, then
I do imagine,
unless they were also an elf.
I do imagine that elves are no strangers to being active at times when other members of other races are not, but still hold a similar etiquette to those races where, yes, I am awake 4 hours before everybody else and I'm doing things. This is me time. Somebody better be dying.
Well, you better do it first thing in the morning then. I was supposed to do that yesterday. It was important.
I like that with Gabriel, I don't want to bother her in the middle of the night, but with Nalia, it's the middle of the night, she probably won't appreciate that, but I'm gonna call her anyway.
Difference between friend and girlfriend.
So I think over the bond, Laramendos will say, just because we don't know the exact date, we know that it should be at least similar to the amount of time we were planning to travel. Does the army think that we are leaving tomorrow? Or do they know they have more time to train and less time to travel?
I think a lot of them still think they're leaving tomorrow.
Yukikaze, that is a question for you.
Wasn't I gonna make a speech?
You had told me that's something you wanted to do.
Yeah, but that was after we found out when we were gonna meet up with the army. Like, we were gonna try to inquire that first.
Sure, so that should be a piece of information that you probably want.
Yeah, so I will. So for, hold on, I'm sorry, I might get a headache. So I will. Everyone's still at the table, right?
Yes, Laramendus joined you at the table.
All right.
I'm on the pond.
And they just mentioned about, or Laramendus just said about, if I think or believe we're leaving.
Yes.
So I will speak up and say, well, I did want to give a speech and inform the army that we have, like you said, we have less travel time and more time to train, and we want to do it this way because so we met up with the army, or the that goes south. Oh, that's the army, right?
No, Empire of the Four
Empire of the
Queens.
Four Queens.
Yes, the Empire of the Four Queens army. So I will state that. But yeah, I wanted that piece of information before I inform the army. If that seems implausible to be able to get that, then I will come up with a speech that lets them know that timetables have changed and this is what's happening. I'll think of something after the fact. Not after the fact, but after we determine whether we can get that information.
Since contacting Gabriel is not on the table, it might be wise to use some communes to determine the timetable so that a speech can be given first thing in the morning before everyone really begins to pack.
I will warn the general because he will be aware of this and that the army will be packing tonight so that they can leave before first light, so that they can maximize the distance they travel when there's light, as opposed to attempting to sail in the dark.
Yeah, you gotta make the speech tonight.
I shall go and commune then.
Yeah, see, that's why it was important that we talked to Gabriel today.
Please do.
There was interesting research to do.
There was interesting research to do. It completely slipped Sam's mind because it's been weeks.
Yeah, I imagine that was what it's.
The only trouble with such a large gap, things slip through it.
I can send Simu Laramendus with him to make the questions don't have to be hyper specific. Just have enough chances to throw at the wall.
Oh
Have the
yeah,
information we need.
Laramendus would try and acquire Simulacrum Laramendus just to have more questions to throw at things.
Thandros will appear from the back of the room and approach the table. He will give a big and genuine salute and say in a authoritative voice, "General, Lieutenants General, I trust that your meal goes well. I know that training is going very well. Mostly.
Mostly?
Progress is non-linear, Lieutenant General Cyrus. And that's okay. I notice my brother isn't among you. Where is Lieutenant General Vendar?
He is,
Developing something?
His eyebrows are
he's
steadily
making
climbing his
equipment,
forehead.
that should prove beneficial to the army's use.
I see. He's not getting himself into more trouble, is he?
He
I don't
should be in
expect
one
so.
piece.
Good.
It depends on what you define as trouble.
Well, it does have a broad definition when it comes to adventurers, doesn't it?
Here's Vendar.
I'm just hoping he still has all of his limbs, and if they can be salvaged, all of his digits.
Nah, I can always get reincarnated again.
We don't need to reincarnate him. You're not there.
No, but like, he's on the bond. Somebody could be telling him what his brother is saying.
Your brother worries about you. He says to Vendar over the bot.
Do me a favor. When you come back and see him next, fake that you've lost a finger. It'll be funny.
Please do not.
Yeah, make it the arm instead.
He is going to...
Leah is laughing into the salad and almost choking on it. But you know I've always forgotten the name. Vendar's brother. He doesn't hear what we are saying.
No.
So he sees that. But can't hear why.
You are going to see, like, you know, he had been trying to puzzle out, you know, the state of his brother. He seemed concerned, and now that concern is going to, like, kind of twist on his face a little as he looks over the group. And he's going to kind of bend in a little bit and say, clearly there is a joke I managed not to hear. Be that as it may, Lieutenants General and General Yukikaze, I really do want to know if you have come to a decision about when we are departing, because preparations are happening now.
Well,
If we depart
something
tomorrow...
got part of us sidetracked, so we don't have which we wanted ready at hand, but we should have it short.
Laramenus will turn to Thandros and say, I'm going to cast a few communes to figure out when the Empire of the Four Queens army is going to be in Ebengard. And is that the name of the country?
That is the name of the nation, yeah.
Okay, yes. Sorry, I was like, wait, did I say because I don't think they're going to the capital. And we can use that information as a guide to inform us of when we are going to...
It depends if you want to... I'm sorry, give me just 1 second there, Yuki. It depends if you want to figure out when they're landing at Dicoscelthus, when they'll be reaching Ebengard's border. If you want to just meet them closer to the dragons, like, that will be an important part of what you're trying to figure out. Yuki.
I was just gonna say to Thandros, or yes, let's just talk to us right now.
Yes, Thandros.
Thandros, I'm gonna say Thandros is like, we just Laramenus, like he said, is just gonna check on something real quick. But as of right now, we probably could pass on the word that I will be making an announcement, and that we did. So if people are a little confused, we do have a quicker means of travel. So we're gonna use just a little bit more prep time, but
okay.
It's not going to be much.
So I can make sure to call for I can call for a general assembly, so that you can speak to the army all at once. Do you want that in 10 minutes, in a half hour, an hour?
Laramentis, how much time do you need for your commune again?
Each casting of the spell is 10 minutes.
Let's say about an hour and a half, just to give us a good amount of time. We'll say, I think,
Well, just 1 hour should be fine.
Hour, yeah.
Okay,
Say in an hour.
very good. I'll arrange for the assembly to begin in an hour. Alright, excellent. I will get on that. You find the information you need, and then we can give the army some real direction about when we're going to be doing this. We don't want to lose the enthusiasm we have. Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant General. I will get that. I will make that happen. General?
Thank you.
And he's going to dip another salute, and he's going to head out of the tavern.
As the voice in the sky said, are we interested in when they'll get to the border of Ebengard? Or is it a different location that we're interested in them getting to?
You say their destination in Evangard.
Does everyone else agree that that's what we want to know?
Is to the border? That's where we're supposed to meet up?
I mean, do we want to meet them where they're landing? Because they're on ships, right? So they got to land somewhere that we could meet them where they're going to be landing their army.
Is this being asked over the bond?
Yes.
And Jebble will say, are we setting up camps when we arrive in Evangard? Or are we just marching straight to...
I think that we will be setting up camp.
I
We
think
need to get our bearings and know where we need to go.
and we need to coordinate with the army that's there.
Might not be a bad idea then to...
Be at the border.
No, to know what time they would arrive at the place where we will be setting up camp and have camp set up ahead of time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So then when they arrive, we'll already have camp set up.
I've been expecting you.
So the question that we're interested in is when they will arrive where this army was intended to meet them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I need 1 second. I have to run to the bathroom real quick.
Do you want me to write out an extremely elaborate question that gets repeated a bunch of times, or do you want me to just essentially what I'm going to do is just dates as like a binary search essentially, like is it a month, is it like less than a month out, is it like less than 2 weeks out, like kind of thing, so I can write down just those numbers if that would be
binary
more
search
interesting to you, or I can write out a full question if you would prefer.
No, just pick your dates, and we'll binary search it.
Okay.
We'll figure out how many sets of 3 questions it'll take, and then how many sets of 3 questions you'll get.
Yep. So I think that to everyone, I think that we should start with a month. I think it's going to be less than a month. So we knew when our army was intending to arrive where they were going to. We knew when this army was going to arrive at the border of Ebengard, right? Because we didn't know how this army was getting into Ebengard.
Right, so I had told you that they were going to leave tomorrow, and that it was going to take them, like, 20 days of travel to get where they needed to go, which is all the way up to, they needed to sail from here, to, there's a place where the borders of Thanandir and Aspara meet, and then there's a little bit of a land between that coastline and the mountains. They were going to somehow get through or across the mountains, and then they were going to head northeast to Watchtower Point.
Okay.
So, but according to what you had been told by Thandros and Tatsuya when you first showed up prior to the with the Kraken fight, that was going to take 20 days, which is why you were given 7 days to go get the white scale for them, because that's when they were going to conclude their training and get on the boats.
Okay, yeah. So, I think we should start with a month. And then I think that the next increment should probably be plus or minus 2 weeks from that. So less than a month means that we say, will it be, less than 2 weeks, and then less than 3 weeks, or more than 6 weeks, more than 8 weeks, and essentially do it that way. Does anyone else have concerns about that?
Sounds good to me.
No, I don't have a concern.
Cool. Larmendus will go to cast the spell. Anyone is welcome to join me if they wish, or they can. I think Yukikaze, you might want to think about what you want to say and how you want to say it, and it might be beneficial to bounce ideas of that off of people while I get this last bit of information.
Yukikaze wants help with his speech. I would like to help.
I guess we'll do the role playing in 2 parts. Do you want to do the commune first or the talking about the speech first? So what I'm thinking about saying is I don't know if I want to just probably be blunt and just come right by and say we're not leaving tomorrow. And then go immediately, and that is because we found a extremely efficient way to get to our meeting point with less time utilizing magic.
I mean,
What do you guys think about that part?
it's not bad, but I would personally do it in the other order. Vamp up that, through the magics we've gained access to, or through our wizard's research, we now have a faster method of travel, and thus have longer train.
Because now that we're here, we can train more because we have this powerful magic.
Should I boast up our strength as their generals that with our joining of the would I dare say crusade? Or what would be a good word to say for our army?
No, it seems pretty crusadey. It's in Bahamut's name, right?
It is.
That's true.
So I could say with the addition of our strength of your strong generals to the lieutenant generals to the crusade, we have a faster means of travel to get to the camp where we're meeting up with the Empire of the Four Queens. With this new development, it will mean that we will not be traveling tomorrow. But that does mean... Go ahead.
That we're meeting up with the Empire of the Four Queens. Is that something that the army knew, or is that something that Tatsuya was keeping close to his chest?
Did you disclose that, Tristan, if it was? Or you can't say? Or we should have remembered if we did?
You don't know. None of them have none of the soldiers, like, usually stuff like that is things that soldiers talk about with each other, you know, and you'd imagine, especially if all of these people were taken from places that were not the Empire of the Four Queens, there'd be some kind of, you know, excitement, apprehension, something, ambivalence about meeting with an army of warriors from a place they've never been, for a country they've never talked to. You haven't heard any talk like that.
So Vendar, you make a very solid point. We will ask brother.
I feel like I remember Tatsuya saying at some point that the army didn't know that it was going to be like a thing you used to boost morale. That there's this reinforcement to this whole other army that's coming.
Okay, well we can ask
Tristan.
Andros. He might know.
Okay,
Tristan.
yes, yeah, Elisa.
Would any of us have slipped that information while training the soldiers?
Like, would you have intentionally let them know?
Or unintentionally, just talk about like when we meet them, blah blah blah. Just thinking that they know and therefore just slip the information.
That's a good point. You guys tend to talk over the bond, but you don't always, and there have been a lot of times where you didn't have it because you spent a lot of time here before you got the God bond.
Yeah, or just, you know, while talking with the soldiers. Like Leah, for example, have very direct conversations with the people she's training.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that just kind of comes down to luck, then, if you've let it go, without even noticing. So, why doesn't everybody just roll me a d20 and tell me if your number is lower than 5?
Well, shit.
Did you immediately roll lower than 5?
No, I did not.
Is a 10 lower than 5?
A 10 is not lower than 5.
Okay.
Is
I got a
mayonnaise-
9.
Mayonnaise is also not lower than 5. For some reason?
I don't know how it works. It's not a number.
Mayonnaise is more valuable than 5.
16 from me.
I got a 3.
You got it. Well, I guess that's fitting.
Also, the
It's
one
like
that
she knew.
where it would make the most sense to slip something like that.
Yeah, you're talking to these people. You're telling them about gathering information. You're trying to get them excited about what's going to happen. You're going to be around a lot of people who are very young, who've had lives not entirely dissimilar from yours. Or these are how you chose your Black Rose. So it might be something you go, you don't have to worry so much because we've got another army that'll help us. So that does make sense. Did anybody else get lower than 5?
No, I got a 9.
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay. So yeah, Leah and the Black Rose.
So, out of curiosity, especially since it's going to start coming from children, even if one of them is a general, does this end up appearing more as a rumor or as fact?
Look, they're children. They say insane shit all the time. How's anybody supposed to know what's real?
Besides, if Leah picks up, like, by spilling that, if she picks up that they didn't know that information, she might tell them to keep it shut. Call it a test to see how good they are at actually, controlling secrets.
Yeah.
That's what they're trained to do. Yeah, like that.
You gotta figure out which one is accidentally not good at keeping secrets by realizing that you're hearing this rumor about the other army from somewhere else.
You tell each one a different army.
You tell her, Army of the Four Queens, tell them, Army of Aspara.
In which case, Leah wouldn't know at this point that this is something that the army doesn't know.
Yeah.
So, to answer the question then, over the bond, like, the army doesn't know. I may have slipped it to some of my back rows, but it should be fine.
I mean, you're teaching them how to be spies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they'd be able to hold the information close to themselves, but we'll see. It's not like they're amongst enemies.
at that moment, you just kind of notice the din around you in the room, and you hear, one voice kind of breaking through, like, what do you think it's like in the desert anyway? Like, hot all the time? Or, like, is there some cold? Is there, like, does it rain? Why 4 queens? Why not, like, 5? Or 100 queens? How old is that place?
Well, Leah's hair was pink when she laughed earlier, and it goes back to blonde now. It's just kind of just like plays with her fork.
Shit.
It's like the idea that, like, when everyone hears the chatter in the background, they're like, wait, what? And they look around, and then all eyes just suddenly focus on Leah.
Well, it's not like it's a bad thing. We need to tell the army about him anyway. No, they just already know. We'll just be confirming.
Or at least a rumor's going around.
So, maybe it's time for that commune.
Yeah, probably. It's Laramentis acquires Simulacrum Laramentis.
Simulacrum.
Simulacrum.
And explains the situation with the spells to him. Like what we're communing for.
Up to 8 chances a day?
Up to 8? Commune is 3 each. It's
8 chances at commune. It goes down by 25% each time.
Oh, okay, yeah, 8,
So you
not 8 questions.
Yeah.
8
chances to commune.
Yeah.
Up to 24 questions.
Live in lodge.
Extra 24 questions. Good luck.
It's a lot of questions.
Too many questions. I'd say it's an ungodly number of questions, but
It's 4 too many. Let's call it 20
Divine
questions.
spell?
Call it a day.
You just gotta fail one of the.
At least you aren't likely to get all 24 questions.
it's true. It would be a very weird day.
It's like God's just got nothing better to do.
D100s are still dice. They still roll.
You can always ask. You can ask a question a day. No, like a question an hour. You
Yeah,
need a day.
it's true. I mean, you can't. It's not true, but it is funny. Your rate of questions is 1 question per hour on average.
Yeah, considering this planet has a 24-hour system, but
Yeah, because it makes it easy for me. Why should I make a world with
It's
like?
actually 25 hours
I'm going
in a
to
day.
fucking kill you.
There's a year is actually 372 days.
I'm officially making a world where it's like 9 hours in a day, so you get 1 hour of uptime for every long rest.
It's like in on Roshar in the Stormlight Archives, how the year is slightly longer, so the ages of everyone, but it's like, oh, this person's 20, and actually they're like 23.
They're all really
Just
tall.
because it's annoying?
All right.
Cycle.
All of you are about
like
to
every
suffer
15
sudden
minutes
heart
is a day.
attacks.
It was bound to happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
that Tarask shows up. Roll initiative.
Right? Alright, so, come on. We've got 18 minutes left. Let's see if we can get through the communes. So, where are we doing the communes?
Laron is going to do the communes in the mansion.
Okay, where in the mansion? Just right in the kitchen?
In the
Doorway.
in the drawing room again, the sitting room.
The sitting room. Okay. Let's just... We're probably gonna end here anyway, so let's just go there. Magnificent mansion. Remember to pull everyone in. Drop in. Alright, so you head in, you head to the sitting room just like last time, and you just begin communing. Let's grab our tokeny tokens. 1, 2, 3. That's all of you, right?
If so.
Alright. Shebang. Fingerprint your do-si-do. Alright. Commute. First one's free.
Okay. So the first one, less than a month. For
Less than
them getting to the rendezvous point.
Yes.
Okay. Less than 2 weeks.
No.
Less than 3 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, I don't think there's any reason to cast another commune to get a more exact day. Are we fine saying, like, that it will go in 2 weeks, so that way we'll be there before them, or do you want a more precise day? This is to everyone.
I mean, you have one more, like, free commune, so.
It's true. We could we could be
So
more
I don't see a
precise if we
reason
would
not
like
to
to.
be more precise.
I would try to get as
Might as
precise
well.
as possible.
Every day counts.
So,
Very well.
remind
I
me
will
where
say-
the rendezvous point is so that I know that I've given you the right answers. Kind of flew through that and realized that I'm thinking of one location, but I don't know if it's the same location as you are.
So, I think the real problem is that we don't know the exact rendezvous point.
Right. So let me try and simplify this for you. So you know that the dragons are holding Watchtower Point.
Yes.
You know that an army approaching not by sea, therefore on foot, has to be coming from the south or the southwest.
Yeah.
So you know that there's this triangular area of Ebengard. You've got a map that they are going to have to be somewhere within, which points toward Watchtower Point. So the question is, how far from Watchtower Point do you want to be? Like, how outside the line of sight of a dragon would you like 4,000 soldiers to appear?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to make it so that you have to travel a day still to get there, which should put you safely out of range of the dragons? Or do you want to be closer than that, which is less safely out of range of the dragons? Let's start
I
with
think-
that.
If we need fires to keep people warm, that's going to be visible from a distance.
Yep.
That's going to be visible from a long distance.
Depending on the terrain.
Thus-
Yep.
That's why I did. Maybe see if we can keep fires to a minimum.
Yeah, I think my inclination is a day.
Okay.
Do other people have strong feelings about closer than that? Remember that we are also using a lot of very high power magic to move this many people this
Yeah, we want to
quickly.
rest before we go into the fight. After using all that magic.
What? You don't want to portal in, use up all of your highest level spells, and then have to fight a bunch of ancient
We're gonna
dragons?
use up like 2 7th level spells, an 8th level spell, a 9th level spell, and a Mystic Arcanum to drop immediately onto the dragons. And you're like, okay, give me a whew.
Okay,
Oh
so
god.
Now that I'm exhausted, let's start the fight.
now I will remind you that you have the simulacrum that has 3 free questions.
Yes.
You can use that to narrow down the time more, but also it might be useful, you are a smart person, wizard, to narrow down the location, now that you know how far. You now have a circle around the city that you want to be along the edge of, which is a one-day trip into the city.
Yeah.
So, and you know that there's a chord length of that circle that is within the triangle area that they will be somewhere in when they travel there. So you have this one particular short arc that you want to land somewhere on, and you want to know where they are, or will be. So you could use questions to narrow that down, and that could be like, are they going to be taking they're going to be preferring roads, and there are roads, so you can be asking about roads or other geographical. Your maps are good enough that you can see what areas are flatter and what areas are steeper, so you can narrow it down to, like, is it going to be this one, is it going to be this one, is it going to be, let's say you narrow it down to, like, 8 paths they could take. So now you've got 8 marks.
Just like, is it one of these two?
Yeah.
Is it one of these two? And then, like, as the question.
And I'm just telling you all this because it's like, you guys are high level, you've studied maps, you don't even need to roll this, and it would just be a matter of time for your characters to figure all of this out. So we're just, this is what you figure out after looking at it for a little while.
Yeah. I think I would like that information over a more precise within a week span.
Okay.
Just so we know where we need to go.
Alright, so, again, 3 free questions.
Yeah.
What are they going to be? Because after that you get a roll, but you get 3 rolls.
Yeah. So I think you said we've narrowed it down to 8. So I think Laramentis will do, is it one of these 4?
Okay.
And then, is it one of these 2?
Yeah.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
And that should be accurate.
Yeah. The only trouble from that becomes if one of them's if the second one is no, then you.
Well, no,
oh, no, you're right. That does fix it.
Yeah,
no, you're right. Yeah.
You gave me a power of 2.
Yep.
And 3 questions.
Yep.
If you had given me 9, I would have been sad. But you gave me 8, so
Look,
I can answer that. We can answer that with 1 commune.
Shut up. Good job. All right.
Quite insane.
All right. So with 1 free commune, you figure out where they are. Or where they are going to be when they get there.
Yeah. Like the path that they're going to be going down, so we'll know where we'll be able to meet them.
So now we're just going to roll for a commune with a 25% failure chance and 3 questions to figure out how actual many days they are between 2 and 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just have to roll higher than a 25 to get it. It's a 46. You got it.
Okay. So less than 17 days.
Less than 17 days, yes.
Less than less than
17. Can't you just
say, is it 15?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's no, then you know it's the other one.
Yeah. Is there a last question that somebody wants me to ask? So I guess technically, I've been saying less, not less than or equal to. So it could be 14. If I said 15 and the answer was no, it could have been 14 or 16. So with the third, but you said 15 was yes.
Yeah, it is 15.
Okay. Is there another question somebody wants me to ask?
Is your favorite color purple?
Yes.
Interesting.
The spell ends.
Wonderful. My question is going to be, are you having a nice day? So,
just as
Same
good.
energy.
Why couldn't we just not answer the question and leave them there forever?
the spell would end, and then they would just be like, that
Alright.
That asshole hung up on me.
They walked away from the phone. They didn't hang up on me. They left a receiver off the hook.
Does that conclude the session?
Well, yeah, so now we know that they will be here in 15 days.
I'm about ready to pass out this farm mask. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think that we're not going to get anything more out of the last few minutes more useful than that. So we'll conclude it there. Nobody gets any XP because you're at max level. Good job.
Road didn't show up.
I'm glad that we were back after so many weeks off. Unfortunately, I believe we'll be off next week because my friend, who is very hard to get meetings with, only proposes them on Tuesdays, and I don't say no to them because they're extremely infrequent.
Yeah.
Like, I think the last time I saw her was like 3 months ago.
I was gonna say, Sam. I thought you guys were living right next to each other.
Yeah, not Sam. We went and saw the eclipse together.
I saw a whole lot of clouds.
I'm sorry, that
It
sucks.
It was very clear for us, which was very nice.
I was
I
not in the
didn't have
path.
any eclipse glasses, so
All right, gents, I'm gonna pass out. Have a good night.
Alright.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Bye, stream!
Bye, stream.
Bye.
Yes, man.